Well, we finished a respectable 5th in our first season in the 2 Bundesliga here at Lokomotive Leipzig, and going into the 5th season of the save. That position did mean we got £12 million and 2 million of that did go into the transfer budget. Can we improve the team to try and make our way up to the Bundesliga in this upcoming season? Hello everyone and welcome to episode 40 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today it is a transfer special heading in to the 5th season of the save, our second one in the 2 Bundesliga. We will look to try and improve just a little bit to go up to the Bundesliga for next season. So if you're looking forward to this transfer special coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But yesterday we played our last game of the season against the champions in the 2 Bundesliga this past season. We actually picked up a win over Fortuna Dusseldorf, but unfortunately left our run just a little bit too late, 2 points behind the team who did make their way into the promotion playoff and did win that in Nuremberg. Also our end of the season review, and we did get all that money coming into the club. So if you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. So we're going to start today's episode by just going through our squad planner quickly to show you guys the areas that we are looking to improve in this upcoming transfer window, with a transfer budget of just under £2 million, albeit I still think we're probably going to use free transfers for most of this window and shift a lot of that budget over to the wage side of things. But even then, we do have about £20,000 spare in that wage budget currently. So still, even if we don't move things over, it is a significant transfer budget that we have for the first time in this save, and it could be a window of real change here at Lokomotive Leipzig for the first time so far in this save. So going over and having a look at our squad planner going into this upcoming season. Now I have just edited things and got rid of some players who we are looking at letting go of, as well as some players who are also on our shortlist and for some reason do appear on our squad planner for this upcoming season. So in goal, actually feel like we're pretty good in this area, with Titus Krapakas as the first choice and Matthias Hasman now being a backup when he signs his new contract come the start of the new season. So I think goalkeeper we are fine with. Right back is definitely an area we need an extra player. We'll still have Panzo Ernesto, but Eric Fufak is going to be leaving the club come the end of this season with only 2.5-star current ability and 3-star potential. So that's definitely an area where you do need to look to try and find a player to improve and potentially, or at least be a backup there to Panzo Ernesto. Looking at centre back, I think in terms of starters here, we're not too bad. Lucas Search for next season will probably start on the right-hand side of defence with the addition of Tom Gala, player that we have signed on a free transfer back in January. And behind that, we have the likes of Stankovic, Ahendu, and Labonte, albeit none of those three really good in that ball-playing defender role. So maybe if we have enough money, we can look for a backup ball-playing defender in behind Tom Gale. Going out left, Linus Zimmer will still be at the club, but we are also going to be trying to get rid of Zach Polo Pitlica, so we might need a backup for Linus Zimmer, who's a bit better than our youngsters currently at the club. So it could be another area, if we have the money, we do look to add a player in the midfield. There could be some changes here. Very happy with Kachala in that deep-lying playmaker role. Ricardo Grimm, though, probably a player we will actually look to let go of, even though he is still on the squad planner. Only 2.5-star current ability and 3-star potential. One of the OGs, he might be leaving this transfer window if a club put a decent bid in for him. So it does mean we might need a better backup than someone like our youngster in Ugo Baraktar. So that might be another area we need to improve. And in terms of ball-winning midfielders, I would like an upgrade on Leon Heinke, who did sign a new contract here at the club. That will kick in come the end of this season, as will Luca Vena. But do think that's an area we could use an improvement in the first team. So that's one of our main targets, a first choice new ball-winning midfielder here at Lokomotive Leipzig. On the right wing as well, Micah Wusu is down to 2.5-star current ability and potential. Might be a player if a good bid comes in for him, who we do let go of. Definitely want to keep Danny Hummel at the club with his good potential, but that's another area we might look for a new first choice starter On that right wing central attacking midfield, quite happy with this area. Daniel Cueto first choice, Julian Weigl the backup, and Tim Lehmann out on loan down in the reserves, albeit Julian Weigl does want to leave the club, so if we let go of him, maybe need to find a new backup there to Daniel Cueto, so that's another area we could be looking at a player for if we do get rid of another OG there in Julian Weigl left wing. Pretty happy with this. Osman Otilgan, one of the stars so far of the save. He will start out there, and Tom Bulland is a decent backup. And up front, Danny Lewell not developing as well as I was hoping. That's partly because he didn't play that much for us last season, because he doesn't actually look as good as I was hoping. But already we've got a new first choice striker coming in Thibaut Clige, but maybe could use a better backup there than Danny Lewell. We do still have Ziani at the club. He got a 1-year contract extension when he played 20 games late last season, but he's a player I am looking at letting go of, and he also does want to leave the club, so a player we are going to shop out. Our best striker so far in the save, it is fair to say, so obviously based on what you see there through the squad planner, it could be a window of quite a bit of change. Most areas of the field we could be signing some new players for. We'll come back and update you guys once we do some transfer business. And it's taken a couple of weeks, but we've done our first bit of business here in the transfer window at Lokomotive Leipzig, albeit it is an outgoing player who hasn't impressed me too much over the past few seasons. That is Mark Lamptey. Of late has been that backup to Leon Heinke in that balling midfield role. Could also, of course, cover centre back, but hasn't done a great job. So we have been shopping him out with only 2.5-star current ability and 3-star potential. Don't feel like with decent free Liga potential, he is someone who can do a job for us in the 2 Bundesliga and beyond. So Mark Lamptey, he is leaving the club, going to stud Tunisian back in his homeland of Tunisia for £9.75 thousand. Not a lot, but we do get some money there off the wage bill with that sale, albeit only 3.3 of that will get added to our transfer budget. And going forward a week off the back of that first bit of business in the transfer window, that sale of Mark Lamptey, still have quite a few players at the club here on trial, so I haven't tried to sign too many just yet, but did find a good player who was available as a backup striker just to improve that quality in behind our new signing in Thibaut Clige, and that will be Yakuba Salue. That will only take £20,000 out of our transfer budget, which is now down to 1.3 million, a wage of 4.7. He is a 24-year-old striker currently at Polton, but he will join us come the start of the new season. In only a week or so's time, he looks like a decent option out of the Ivory Coast. Has scored some goals previously in the 2 Liga of Austria. Hopefully that will translate over into the 2 Bundesliga here in Germany, but that will be our first incoming kind of in this transfer window, even though it's technically a free transfer, just like those previous ones up front and at centre back, who will join us in about a week and a half's time. But Yakuba Salue will come in as our backup striker. And it's the 1st of July now, so we've officially made our way into the new season here in Football Manager, our second season in the 2 Bundesliga, and because of that, all our free transfers have arrived. It also means now things will really pick up in terms of us trying to fill the rest of those gaps in the squad that you did see before on the squad planner. Now that we can take a few players in on trial, a few more players who have just been released from their previous contracts. But here are all the new additions here at Lokomotive Leipzig, a few youngsters who will go down in the under-19s and 3 players who will make their way straight into the first team. One of those is Tom Gale, our new ball-playing defender, previously from Unterhaching, and before that, Borussia Mönchengladbach. Good ball-playing defender, 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential, has the potential to be a good 2 Bundesliga player, which is quite useful. A lot of our current players at the club only had the potential to be decent free Liga players, so hopefully that will improve the quality at the back, even though our defence last season, actually, one of our strong points, we did have the second best defence in the league. It was actually our goal scoring, which led us down, being the second worst in that department. A few youngsters off the back of that. David Issa, formerly of Bayer Leverkusen, he will join us on a free right winger with 2-star current ability and 5-star potential. Certainly could be someone who does feature in a couple of years' time in the save once the likes of Michael Wosu do leave the club, probably at the end of the season. Hopefully, as I said earlier, we can find a new right winger to improve in that position over Owusu. Also, we have signed Tobias Lambeyer. He has 1.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential, a midfielder come right winger formerly of RB Leipzig. So just makes the move over to the better club, you could argue, in Leipzig, albeit now that I say that out loud, that does sound a little bit ridiculous. Also in terms of youngsters, David Stegemann, 1.5-star current ability, 4-star potential, also formerly of RB Leipzig, a centre-back, I would say, with that height of 1.88 metres at 17 years old. Another one who will go into our under-19s, and the same can be said for Beckham Neiman, also 1.5-star current ability, but 5-star potential, and does look like another good option. Out on the right wing does the former Bayer Leverkusen man, so a lot of the youngsters that we have signed do look like they do suit that right wing role, so we should have a few good prospects coming through there over the next couple of years in behind someone like Danny Hummel. And as well as that, we do have our 2 new strikers who have now arrived at the club. First up, Thibaut Clige. He will be first choice this season based on star rating, not as good as Salue, but based on attributes, does look a bit better suited to that advanced forward role, even though, as I said, 3-star current ability and 4-star potential, formerly of Lucerne. Hopefully does a decent job for us here at Lokomotive Leipzig and improves that goal scoring output that was poor from last season. And as you saw before, also joining us is Yakuba Salue. We've got 7 new signings here to start the transfer window. Hopefully we can make a few more now that we can get some more players in on trial. And only a few days off the back of the start officially of the new season, now expect the transfer business here at Lokomotive Leipzig to really pick up. We've made the first of our new signings who do arrive in this new season, and that will be Florian Haxa on a free transfer. He is a right back, so will be the backup or potentially even an improvement on Panzo Ernesto in that position to make up for the loss of Erik Vufak, 24 years old, from Kosovo. He has the potential to be a good 2 Bundesliga player and has spent a lot of time in the Hertha Berlin second team, even though those guys are down in the regional league. Nordost has done a decent job for them, so hopefully can do a good job for us as well here in the 2 Bundesliga. But he is a good promising player and does fill that role of Erik Vufak, but might even be our starter, Florian Haxa, coming on a free. And not too long off the back of that addition of a right back, we have eventually got rid of our first striker at Lokomotive Leipzig. Jamal Ziani has left the club. He did want to leave the club, otherwise might have been tempted to keep him around, because to be fair, haven't really got anyone else to fire up front so far in this save. But even then last season, despite the fact that we were trying to phase him out of the club at times, he did perform the best out of the strikers that we did have in terms of goal scoring output. But even then, only 6 goals from 24 games is an area we really need to make an improvement. But he was at the club between 2014-15 and 2025-26. He makes his way down to the 4th tier, the Südwest, with Allen for £12,500. Not a bad effort for a player we got 10 years out of, and who I assume we did pick up on a free. But Jamal Ziani, he leaves the club for £12,500. And it's another new addition here at Lokomotive Leipzig, this time on the left-hand side of our defence, making the most of shifting over most of that transfer budget into our wage budget, and also with a couple of sales which should free up that budget even more. So I think we're going to be able to fill most of those gaps we were looking to do in that squad planner earlier. And we have signed a new left back out of Italy in Alessandro Di Renzo, pretty similar to the right back that we signed previously in Haxa. On the other side, previously spent most of his time at Monterossi, but certainly has been around the clubs for a 25-year-old. 3-star current ability, 4-star potential, very similar in terms of current ability and potential, as I said, to Haxa before. But that is a good improvement and a backup to what we otherwise would have had on that left-hand side, and even again could potentially be an upgrade on someone like Linus Zimmer. Have to wait and see when I do look at the team going into our first game of the season. But a new left back here at Lokomotive Leipzig and Alessandro Di Renzo. And pretty shortly off the back of that signing of Di Renzo, a few more have come through the door here on frees at Lokomotive Leipzig. Both of these players are probably going to replace some originals who are currently underbid. Those players, Ricardo Grimm and Julian Weigl. So we got on the front foot and got replacements lined up for those guys very early. First off, we have signed Abnor Moratti. He will be the backup deep line playmaker in behind Matteo Cacella for the upcoming season, now that Ricardo Grimm does look like he will be leaving the club. He is from Macedonia, 2.5-star current ability, 4-star potential. So current ability wise, not that great, but do remember he will definitely be a backup to Matteo Kachella, provided that he is fit for most of the season. Previously has spent some time at Duisburg, so that's a team we are quite familiar with, has done a job in the lower divisions of German football. Hopefully he will handle the step up into the two Bundesliga. So Abnor Malati will join us as the new backup deep line playmaker, as I said, in behind Matteo Kachella. And as well as that, with losing someone like Julian Weigl in behind Daniel Cueto, we have signed a new backup in behind him, and this guy looks really good for a backup. Sung Byung Kim of South Korea, 3.5-star current ability, 4-star potential. If we do suffer an injury in that area, that is a really good replacement. Can also cover left wing and to a lesser degree the right and up front, but he is a South Korean, as I said, with 3 international caps, good current ability and potential, and has spent some time in Europe over the past few seasons, mainly in the Czech Republic. Actually is part Czech Republic as well, so it does mean he doesn't count as a foreigner, although that's not too big an issue in the two Bundesliga where there are no foreign limits. But Sung Byung Kim joins us as the new backup to Daniel Cueto in that cam role. A few new backups to replace the players under transfer bid in Ricardo Grimm and Julian Weigl. And the signings keep on coming here on the 7th of July. As I mentioned, it's all happening thick and fast now. And here's our new ball-winning midfielder to step in over Leon Heinke, who will remain at the club as a backup. But Racine Bullock comes in on a free transfer after he left Mainz once that contract did expire. So certainly has some previous experience here in Germany, is from Bosnia, 2.5-star current ability, 4-star potential, doesn't look that great, but based on attributes is certainly an upgrade on Leon Heinke. Hasn't actually played for a little while, a few seasons since he was last featuring down in the second team for Mainz in the Regional League Southwest, so it might take him a little while to get back to match fitness, but certainly in terms of build, does look quite a similar player to Leon Heinke. Another weapon from set piece with that 1.92 metre height, but I'm hoping he will be a bit better than that current ability does suggest he should be, based on attributes, especially those mental ones, good aggression and determination. And here's our new first choice ball-winning midfielder in Racine Bullock. And we've eventually gone forward a few days, and as I mentioned when we did make the signings of that new backup deep line playmaker and attacking midfielder, the reason for those were the upcoming departures of Ricardo Grimm and Julian Weigl, and both of those are about to and have just happened. Ricardo Grimm has already departed. He has left for Odra Pole for £60,000. Not a bad fee there for a player who was just dropping here at the club in terms of his current ability and potential. The Polishman at 27 years old when he was here did have 2.5-star current ability, 3-star potential, but he made quite a few appearances for the club over the first few seasons of the save. Overall 123 for 21 goals. A lot of those actually came for us, I believe, in the first season or two of the save. But Ricardo Grimm, he leaves for £60,000. And as well as that, Julian Weigl will go for a much lesser fee, but he is a player who did want to leave the club and would tell him once we got a decent fee that we would let him go. Obviously, with that signing of the South Korean, that does mean we have a good backup now who can step in for Julian Weigl. He will be leaving for only £12,500 going down to FC Victoria Cologne, but Julian Weigl also departs the club, so there are 2 OGs on their way out. And it's taken a while, but we've eventually found our new first choice right winger here at Lokomotive Leipzig to step in over Mike Owusu, who is just declining a little bit. And in the last year of his contracts, we have signed Albin Krasnicki, 23-year-old, who is out of Switzerland, 3-star current ability and 4-star potential. So again, not much of an upgrade, but based on attributes, it is actually quite significant. Currently decent free Liga player, but the potential is for a decent 2 Bundesliga player. So far in the save, we've got a lot of players to overperform on those expectations for current ability and potential. So hopefully this is another one who can do the same. Previously has spent most of his time at Basel in Switzerland and has done quite well for the under 21, so hopefully can make the step up somewhat to the 2 Bundesliga here with us at Lokomotive Leipzig. Also does mean might have to just shuffle up our set pieces, because free kick taking wise not as good as Mike Owusu, but certainly is a player who hopefully with that good natural fitness won't have to be subbed off too much, but that is an upgrade in the right wing area. We have signed on a free yet again, Albin Krasnicki. And 2 weeks out from the start of the new 2 Bundesliga season, I think this will be the last incoming that we do make here going into the new season. It is a new ball-playing defender to back up the new signing in Tom Gall, and this is Lucas Locks. Again, 3-star current ability, 4-star potential, the potential to be a good 2 Bundesliga player. Previously, also spent some time down in the second team at Mainz, but he is German and does look like a good player compared to the other options we do have, especially in that ball-playing defender role. Might even be a little bit better than Lucas Search on the other side of defence as well. If that becomes a problem, that is something we could look at, especially in terms of the pace of Lucas Search, albeit this guy isn't exactly quick either, but that should probably be the last piece to the puzzle in those players that we were looking for in the squad plan to come the start of today's episode. New backup ball-playing defender and Lucas Locks. And this one's taken a fair while to get over the line, but eventually we have got rid of Zach Polo Piplica, obviously a player we were looking at letting go of as the backup left back these days that has been taken by Alessandro Di Renzo, but Zach Polo Piplica was a player who wasn't doing a lot for us over the past few seasons here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Only at about 2-star current ability and 3-star potential, if that. When he was at the club, did actually make quite a few appearances in 129, albeit, as I said, not a lot of those over the past few seasons, but we do get a decent fee, I feel like, for him of £6,000, especially for a player who over the last couple of seasons hasn't featured too much at all. But Zach Polo Piplica finally makes his way out of the door for £6,000. And we are on the day of our opening match of the new 2 Bundesliga season. Actually quite an interesting start for us this season. First up, taking on a team relegated from the Bundesliga and then one promoted up from the Free Liga. So it's going to be an interesting start for us come early next week. But here's all the transfer business that we have done, as you can see, as well as the sales that we did. Quite a few players also left on loan, but as well as that, we have made a lot of signings coming in here at Lokomotive Leipzig for the new season. Obviously not all those players were signed from our B team. That was just because we got them once they did come in on trial. But lots of incomings here, and it does mean our squad does look significantly different going into this new season, albeit the one constant, we are going to stick with that 4-2-3-1 fluid counter-attacking system that did work for us late last season as well as early last season off the back of that poor start with the 4-3-3. So first up, we're going to run through the squad, albeit might not take too long because lots of these players you have just seen when we did sign them to the club. But in goal, Titus Krapakas is still first choice, 4.5-star current ability and potential, is probably one of few players at the club who is actually quite suited to the division we do find ourselves in. He was quite good last season for the most part. Hopefully can do the same for us this season. The backup to him will be Mattis Hasman with 3-star current ability and potential at right back. We did go with Florian Haxa over Panzo Ernesto. Just looks a bit better in that wing-back support role. So Haxa will get the start and Panzu Ernesto will drop down to the bench, even though he has done a pretty good job for us so far in this save since we did sign him very early on. Going forward now to the other side, and also a change here. Alessandro Di Renzo does look a bit better based on attributes than Linus Zimmer, which is a bit surprising as Linus Zimmer does have the higher star rating, but Alessandro Di Renzo will get the first crack out at left back, with Linus Zimmer dropping down to the bench and is a good bench option as well, as he can cover all of those positions at the back. So a good option on the bench is still our current club captain. We'll see how long he likes sitting on the bench. Also worth noting, he does not want to sign a new contract, so that could be an issue we do have to deal with over the first couple of episodes. If a good bid does come in for him, might not potentially be the worst idea to let him go, especially if that contract situation does start to drag in to halfway through the season, because then we would not get anything for him. So Linus Zimmer might actually be a player we do end up having to let go. We could find someone better than him, though, who we have had previously on trial at the club. Going to the centre-backs, Lucas Search will start for us in that central defender role. We've just switched him over because I think he might suit that a little bit better than that ball-playing defender role he has had over the past season or two. And going alongside him was one of our early free transfers in Tom Gall to fill that ball-playing defender role. The backups to those two are going to be Lucas Locks, obviously one of our new signings here previously from Mainz, and out on the other side to back up Lucas Search as the central defender, it will be Stankovic dropping down from that starting spot he had last season to be a backup. Hopefully we'll still get enough game time to develop nicely and hopefully one day can usurp Lucas Search once he starts to age just a little bit more. Going forward into the midfield, usually we would have someone different than Abdul Moratti in that deep-lying playmaker role, but unfortunately Kachala has got injured in the pre-season. We'll miss our first couple of games, so Moratti, usually the backup in that deep-lying playmaker role, but for the start of the season, he will start. Obviously, one of our new signings down the bottom, Mateo Kachala, you can see he does have an injury, but still one of our better players at the club. Hopefully will make a big difference once he comes back into the team. Will the Italian 20 role these days? Quite a few Italians are at the club, but the big change does come in the balling midfield role. Racine Bullock will be starting over Leon Heinke, as we mentioned earlier. His attributes are just a little bit better and does have more potential as well than the 26-year-old German. So that's a new pecking order there in the balling midfield role. Going forward to the central attack, very strong in this area. Daniel Cueto does keep his place as a starter with the Ongonch role on support. And in behind the Italian is our South Korean in Sung Byung Kim. Very able backup if we do need to use him. That is an area, as I mentioned, that we will be very, very strong in. So hopefully that will help us create a few more goals in this upcoming season. Going out to the wings, Albin Krasnicki is the new starting right wing, as we mentioned when we did sign him, the former Basel lad. And on the bench, it will be Mike Owusu in the final year of his contract. Denny Hummel has dropped down into the second team. We have enough players in that team now, so they should get a lot more game time than they've been able to get over the past few seasons once we have set that up. So hopefully our second team will get off the ground a bit more this upcoming season. And out on the left-hand side, obviously Osman Otilgan clearly keeps his spot on that left wing, one of the best players at the club, currently a decent player in this division, and his backup is still Anton Bulland, albeit his current ability and potential have dropped a little bit since this time last season from memory. And up front, two new signings. Thibaut Cléget is the first choice striker, even though based on star ability doesn't look as good as our backup, and the backup is of course Yakubu Salue, who should be able to do a good job should Cléget not fire for us up front. So I do feel like that's quite a strong squad for us this upcoming season, especially in comparison to what we did have here at the club last year. Also in terms of the B team, we'll just go down and have a look at the players in that team. A few decent options down here in the likes of Lino Labonte, Francis Gaima, Danny Hummel, Luca Bainer, albeit he will probably be going out on loan. Tim Lehman, also got Danny Lewell down here, and going down a bit further, the likes of Daniel Hindu as well. So there are a few decent options down there in the second team should we suffer a few injuries in that first team. And also down in the under-19s, a few decent players down here, albeit hopefully won't have to call on too many of them, in the likes of David Stegman, as well as the likes of Falkmail, Horn, Beckham, Neiman, and Tobias Lamware. So that is the state of the club going in to this new season in the 2 Bundesliga, and we'll come back for that come the start of next week in terms of the season preview. Unfortunately, despite all that transfer business, we are still expected to be finishing bottom, albeit not by as much as was the case last season. I would hope we can keep ourselves at the very least in this division for another season, get another decent payout come the end of the year, and strengthen our squad even more. But based on our position last season, this should be a squad that can improve just a little bit, albeit it was a very even division, just a few rough results, and we could find ourselves in the bottom half instead of the top half. But that will do it for this transfer special here at Lokomotive Leipzig. As you saw before, a lot went on in this one, so if you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. We'll come back early next week. I won't say on Monday, just in case my voice gives way after this, because I've been struggling with it so far this week. So if I do miss a video early next week, that will be the reason why. Actually need to give it a decent break. We'll come back obviously for our first couple of games in the season. As I mentioned, some quite interesting ones off the back of a very dominant pre-season, picking up 5 wins, and some of those by quite big margins. First off, we take on a team relegated from the Bundesliga in Hanover away from home, and then a somewhat familiar rival in a team coming up from the Free Liga in Heidenheim. So there will be some interesting games in our first couple. You'd hope we can at least beat the team who have just come up from the Free Liga, especially because they are the team just above us. On that season preview, we'll come back for those two games at the start of next week, and from there start to get stuck in to the rest of the two Bundesliga season. And hopefully this season a bit more of a run in the DFB Pokal. Will come back early next week and get stuck in to the start of the new two Bundesliga season with all those new players. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.